The narrative begins with our female protagonist, Zamo, stepping into the bustling arrival hall of a new city's airport, her suitcase rolling behind her as she takes in the unfamiliar surroundings. The journey has left her slightly disoriented, and she's still finding her bearings when her phone rings. It's her mother, whose voice comes through with a mix of excitement and insistence. "Your aunt has arranged a blind date for you, it's all settled," her mother announces. Zamo, feeling a surge of frustration, quickly retorts, "Didn't I already explain? I have someone I like." As she speaks, her attention is divided, and in her distraction, she accidentally collides with a man passing by. This is no ordinary man, he is Shen Jun Yao, a strikingly handsome figure who exudes an air of authority. Unbeknownst to Zamo, he is the CEO of a prominent tech company, and at this very moment, he is being pursued by a swarm of reporters eager for a statement or a photograph. The collision is abrupt, and in the chaos, Zamo's phone slips from her hand, clattering to the floor. The screen shatters and the device goes dark. A wave of anger washes over her. This phone was her lifeline, containing all her contacts, photos, and unfinished projects. Without a second thought, she dashes after Shen Jun, her voice rising above the airport noise as she shouts, "Hey, listen to me." Shen Jun pauses and turns, his gaze cool and assessing. Seeing his attention, Zamo feels a flicker of hope. This is her chance to confront him. But as she strides forward, her foot catches on a reporter's equipment bag, sending her stumbling. She loses her balance and falls directly into Shen Jun's arms. The reporters, sensing a golden opportunity, begin snapping photos furiously, their cameras flashing like a cascade of lightning. Shen Jun's expression tightens. Without a word, he takes Zamo by the arm and guides her firmly toward his waiting car. She has little choice but to follow, her mind racing with a mixture of outrage and confusion. Once inside the vehicle, she turns to him, her voice trembling with indignation. "First, you break my phone, and now you're kidnapping me," she accuses. Shen Jun remains unruffled, his tone detached. "Anyone can contact you and return it," he states, though the comment does little to placate her. Zamo's frustration boils over. "You've caused me so much trouble. My phone had everything on it, all my work, my photos. Now I'll have to re-edit everything from scratch." Shen Jun's response is dismissive, almost mocking. "If you were cute, it wouldn't take so much time," he remarks, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. Zamo falls silent, too stunned to reply. Shortly after, Shen Jun pulls over at a bus stop and ushers her out, leaving her stranded without a working phone or a clear sense of direction. Alone and disoriented, Zamo makes her way to the home of her close friend, Tang Jin. Tang welcomes her with open arms, her face lighting up at the sight of her friend. They settle into the cozy living room, catching up on the events of the day. As they talk, a sudden realization dawns on Zamo. She left her bag, which contained the address of the place she was supposed to go, back at the airport. Panic sets in. Meanwhile, Shen Jun receives an urgent call informing him that the photos of him and Zamo have gone viral online. The news is spreading like wildfire, and it's causing significant damage to his company's reputation. He consults his advanced AI assistant, Dina, who projects the trending headlines and analyzes the potential fallout. The situation is escalating rapidly, and Shen Jun knows he must act to control the narrative. Determined to retrieve her belongings, Zamo enlists Tang's help and they return to the airport. As they search the crowded terminal, Zamo spots Shen Jun walking away, her bag in his hand. She sprints after him, but he disappears into the throng of people before she can reach him. Tang, ever resourceful, suggests, "Do you have any way to contact him?" Zamo's eyes widen as she remembers the business card he had given her during their brief encounter. She borrows Tang's phone and dials the number. The call is answered by Shen Jun's assistant, who listens to her plea about her phone and bag. The assistant assures her that her belongings will be returned and requests an address for delivery. Just then, Zamo's mother calls again, and Zamo seizes the opportunity to ask for the address of the house she is supposed to visit. Her mother relays the information, and Zamo and Tang immediately head to the location. When they arrive, Zamo rings the doorbell, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and residual anger. The door swings open to reveal Shen Jun standing there, his expression impassive. Zamo begins to introduce herself, but the words catch in her throat as she recognizes him. Her tone shifts from polite to confrontational. "You," she exclaims, but before she can say more, Shen Jun closes the door in her face. Undeterred, Tang steps forward and rings the bell again. This time, when Shen Jun answers, Tang introduces herself with a calm and friendly demeanor. To Zamo's surprise, Shen Jun invites them inside. Tang, sensing the tension, suggests that Zamo and Shen Jun talk privately, and she tactfully excuses herself. Alone with Shen Jun, Zamo demands the return of her 3 items: her phone, her bag, and the documents related to the house. Shen Jun responds by opening a drawer filled with identical phones and handing one to her. Zamo is taken aback by the sight. "You'll get your bag from downstairs," he informs her. "As for this house, if you repay the full amount I've invested in it, I'll leave immediately." The figure he mentions is astronomical, and Zamo stares at him in disbelief. Shen Jun then presents her with an alternative. Sign a document stating that there is no relationship between them and he will waive the debt. Zamo agrees, relieved at the prospect of resolving the situation without financial ruin. However, as Shen Jun goes to retrieve her bag, his AI assistant Dina intervenes. "Do not break up with Zamo," Dina advises. "If you publicly deny the relationship, it will cause significant damage to your company's image." While Shen Jun is away, Zamo searches the room looking for a copy of the agreement she had just signed. When Shen Jun returns, he asks what she is doing. "I'm looking for the second copy of our agreement, the one that states you'll give me the house after I sign," she explains. Shen Jun shakes his head. "There's no need for that now. You will stay as my girlfriend for appearances. In 3 weeks, I will take all my electronics and leave. This is purely for the sake of my company's reputation." Zamo is taken aback by the sudden change in terms. She asks for time to consider and steps aside to call Tang. She explains the situation, and Tang offers a pragmatic suggestion. "If you want to help him, propose that he leave this house and find another. That way he can complete his work and you'll still get the house." Zamo relays this idea to Shen Jun, who seems intrigued. "Where would I go?" he asks. Zamo shrugs. "You probably have plenty of other houses. You can stay anywhere else." After a moment's consideration, Shen Jun agrees and moves to a different property. Zamo, thrilled with the outcome, video calls her mother to show off the house. Her mother is overjoyed, and Zamo feels a sense of accomplishment. Eager to explore the entire property, Zamo steps into the elevator to see the lower floors. Suddenly, the power cuts out and the elevator grinds to a halt, plunging her into darkness. Fear grips her as she realizes she is trapped. Meanwhile, Dina alerts Shen Jun to the situation. Without hesitation, he rushes to the scene. Just as the elevator doors finally open, Zamo is met with a shocking sight: a man standing there without any clothes. She lets out a piercing scream. Shen Jun arrives moments later, his face dark with anger. "Why did you come here without my permission?" he demands, his voice cold. "You cannot wander around my house nor leave it without my authorization." Zamo, trembling and embarrassed, pleads, "I don't want to stay here anymore. Please let me leave. I promise I won't tell anyone what I saw." As Shen Jun turns to walk away, Zamo spots a heavy object nearby. In a desperate attempt to force her release, she considers hitting him from behind. But as she raises the object, it unexpectedly transforms into a bracelet. Shen Jun turns to face her, his eyes narrowing. "I thought you had changed," he says, his voice dripping with disdain, "but you've just revealed your true colors." He grabs her arm and orders Dina to lock the doors, effectively confining her to the house. Zamo finds herself back in her room, feeling like a prisoner. She tries to call Tang for help, but the call is intercepted by Shen Jun. "There's no need for such behavior," he says, his voice calm but firm. Zamo is baffled. How did her call to Tang end up with him? She attempts to send a text message to Tang explaining that she's been kidnapped, but the message fails to send. When she tries sending a different innocuous message, it goes through without issue. She realizes that Shen Jun's AI Dina is monitoring and controlling all her communications. Desperate, Zamo tries to appeal to Shen Jun's humanity. "My heartbeat is racing," she warns him. "This situation could have severe consequences for my health." In response, Shen Jun retrieves a book from his study, a manual on robotics that he had used to build one of his creations, and brings it to her room. "Read this," he says, placing it on her bedside table. "It will help you understand what you saw downstairs." The next morning, Zamo wakes up and begins reading the book, her mind racing with questions. She remembers that she has an important job interview scheduled for today and quickly gets ready. Meanwhile, Shen Jun is in a meeting, discussing his latest robotics projects and the capabilities of his AI assistant. Zamo, now running late, recalls that the house door is locked and she needs Shen Jun's permission to leave. She calls him and he answers just as his meeting concludes. "Where are you?" She asks, her voice urgent. "I have an important interview and I'm getting late. Please open the door." Shen Jun's response is unexpected. "No," he says, "I will arrange a job for you myself." Zamo retorts, "I don't want a job related to your robots. I have no interest in that." Shen Jun probes further. "So what are you interested in?" Zamo explains, "I want to work at the candy company where I have an interview." Shen Jun relents. "All right, wait, I'm coming to get you." He arrives shortly, orders Dina to unlock the door and drives her to the company. As he drops her off, he says, "I'll wait here for you." While Zamo is inside, Shen Jun conspires with Dina. "Since she knows one of my secrets, I need to learn one of hers," he muses. He sneaks into the company and finds the woman who will be interviewing Zamo. He instructs her to ask the questions he provides and sets up Dina to monitor the interview from a side room. During the interview, the woman questions Zamo, who responds with humor and charm. When Zamo mentions that she also makes funny videos, Shen Jun smiles, intrigued. He sends a message to Dina, "Ask her to dance." The interviewer, confused, relays the request. Zamo is taken aback. "Is this really part of the interview?" she asks. The woman consults Shen Jun, who replies, "I was only joking." But to his surprise, Zamo begins to dance, her movements playful and endearing. Shen Jun records the performance, thinking it could be useful for blackmail later. After the interview, he asks Zamo if she passed. She teases him, "Guess." Shen Jun observes her happiness and says, "From the looks of it, you passed. Congratulations, I want to take you somewhere." Zamo agrees and they go to a restaurant. She eats with enthusiasm, clearly enjoying the food while Shen Jun watches, seemingly uninterested in eating. Just then, Shen Jun's friend arrives, accompanied by Tang. Zamo and Tang are both shocked to see each other. Shen Jun explains, "Zamo is my girlfriend. I didn't plan to announce it yet, but the reporters spread the news so fast, I had no choice." After dinner, Tang messages Zamo, asking her to wait in the car. Shen Jun sits in the passenger seat and tells Zamo to drive, but she admits, "I don't know how to drive." Shen Jun remains silent and Zamo reluctantly gets behind the wheel. She manages to start the car, but as she drives, she spots Tang waiting and suddenly slams on the brakes. "My friend is waiting for me," she explains. Tang gets into the car, but soon the vehicle is on the verge of an accident. Dina automatically takes control, stopping and parking the car safely. Zamo steps out, feeling nauseous, and begins to vomit. Shen Jun calls his assistant to pick them up. Inside the car, Tang remarks, "Your contract boyfriend is really rich." Zamo replies, "No, he's not that rich, he just owns a tech company." Tang reveals, "The company where you went for an interview is none other than his grandfather's company." Zamo is stunned by this revelation. When they return home, Zamo tries to talk to Shen Jun, but he ignores her and walks away. She mutters to herself, "Good thing I didn't dance when I was asked to." Meanwhile, Shen Jun learns from the news that people are speculating about Zamo being pregnant and suggesting they should get married. He orders Dina to remove the news immediately. Zamo also stumbles upon the pregnancy rumor and becomes furious. She confronts Shen Jun, exclaiming, "Why are you spreading fake news? It's a good thing I didn't dance at your request. Focus on your business and don't treat me as part of it." Shen Jun coldly replies, "Do you have any evidence? Bring me evidence before you speak." Zamo retorts, "I don't need evidence because I have a heart, which you don't." Her words sting Shen Jun, echoing accusations from his past. Later, Tang informs Zamo that Shen Jun had the entire news story removed. Zamo feels a pang of guilt for misunderstanding him. Meanwhile, Shen Jun is looking through his childhood diary, recalling a traumatic event where he couldn't save his brother, leading to his father blaming him. His mother had said, "You have no evidence," but his father had replied, "I don't need evidence, I know you raised a heartless son." Zamo's words had mirrored his father's, prompting Shen Jun to open a new project. He instructs Dina to activate a robot named Starlight and tells it, "Don't call me Mr. Shen, call me brother." That evening, Zamo waits for Shen Jun to return home. When he arrives, she apologizes for her earlier outburst. To her surprise, Shen Jun declares, "Your contract with me is over. I will leave this house in 3 months and won't take any payment from you." He retreats to his room and laughs while watching the video of Zamo dancing. Later, as Zamo is in her room, Starlight appears, startling her. She screams, and Shen Jun rushes to her room. As Zamo runs downstairs in panic, she accidentally bumps into Shen Jun and they both fall, breaking a vase in the process. "There was a stranger in my room," she explains breathlessly. Starlight responds, "I was just looking for a place to sleep." Shen Jun says, "Go sleep in my room, take a shower, I'll be there soon." Zamo asks, "Is this the same robot?" But Shen Jun doesn't answer and leaves. After he's gone, Zamo notices blood on the broken vase and worries that Shen Jun is injured. She brings a first aid kit to his room and begins applying a bandage. Shen Jun initially pushes her away but then recalls the moments they have shared. Just then he receives a phone call. Zamo is watching a video on her phone, and when Shen Jun tries to take it away, a playful tug-of-war ensues, bringing them close together. At that moment, Starlight enters and Zamo quickly moves to leave. Starlight says to Shen Jun, "Hey, you should take a shower before bed, too." Zamo overhears this, looking confused, and steps out. Shen Jun follows her with his bedding, and when Zamo asks, "Are you not sleeping here?" he teases, "I'd love to sleep next to you." Frightened, Zamo dashes off to her room. The next morning, Shen Jun, Starlight, and Zamo are at the breakfast table. Zamo tries to ignore them and leave, but Starlight says, "Your brother will drop you off. Come have breakfast." Reluctantly, Zamo joins them. Just then, Shen Jun's assistant calls to say he is waiting downstairs with the car. Shen Jun instructs him, drop Zamo off at the office first. At work, everyone is buzzing about Zamo, whispering that she is the girl caught in a scandal with Shen Jun. A woman who has a crush on Shen Jun, tasked with training Zamo, assigns her a mountain of work out of jealousy. Meanwhile, Shen Jun takes Starlight to meet his grandfather. When Shen Jun steps away for a call, the grandfather asks Starlight, "Does Shen Jun have a girlfriend?" Starlight denies it, but the grandfather urges, "You should help make a relationship between Shen Jun and Zamo." Back at the office, a colleague borrows eyeliner from Zamo, who later realizes it was to prepare for Lin Hang, a celebrity she admires. Upset, she takes back her belongings and runs to the restroom. Later, Zamo prepares to meet Lin Hang but sees him being approached by several colleagues. When she attempts to get his autograph, she trips and falls, but Lin Hang helps her up before heading to a meeting with the director. During negotiations, Lin Hang insists, "I want Zamo to be present at my photo shoot." Zamo is delighted when Mr. Chung informs her, "You must attend Lin Hang's photo shoot. He specifically requested your presence." To celebrate, she treats her colleagues to coffee, where Lin Hang unexpectedly appears and strikes up a conversation. They later sit together and Lin Hang signs a photo with Zamo's name, saying, "I remember you from the exhibition." They exchange Twitter handles, and Zamo feels a glimmer of excitement. The scene shifts to Tang, who's preparing to meet Shen Jun's assistant, who has recently gone through a divorce. She finds him attractive and readies herself as he brings Zamo's luggage. Shen Jun unexpectedly arrives and spots Zamo chatting with Lin Hang. Unimpressed, he demands, "Who was that guy?" Zamo replies, "Just Lin Hang, the celebrity I'm a fan of." Shen Jun takes the coffee Zamo intended for her colleagues and assists her with the delivery, charming everyone with his friendly demeanor. Observing this, Zamo mutters, "He acts so cool around me." At that moment, the director approaches Shen Jun and discusses the project, suggesting that Zamo should be made the project lead. However, Zamo refuses, saying, "I can't take it on because I have to go for a photo shoot with Lin Hang." When Shen Jun asks her about it, she explains, "I'm new, I can't handle this yet." Shen Jun encourages her, "You can do it," and even the director insists, though Zamo suspects the director intends to burden her with the workload. After Shen Jun leaves, the other colleagues remark, "Look how much your boyfriend cares for you." Narrative continues to unfold with deepening complexity, as the characters navigate a web of danger, corporate intrigue, and evolving relationships. The story finds Zamo enjoying a casual lunch with her friend Tang when a faint but distinct smell of smoke begins to permeate the air. Within moments, the situation escalates as they realize the restaurant's kitchen is on fire. Panic ensues, and Zamo instinctively rushes toward the source of the danger, driven by a mix of concern and adrenaline. Simultaneously, in a completely different setting, Shen is in the midst of a solemn dinner with his mother, introducing her to his advanced robotic creation, Starlight. He offers her comforting words, promising, "I will always stay with you and take care of you," a vow that carries the weight of past familial losses. This tender moment is shattered when an urgent alert from his AI system, Dina, flashes across his device. Zamo is in imminent danger. Without a second thought, Shen abandons the dinner, with Starlight following closely behind, their departure marked by a sense of desperate urgency. By the time they arrive at the scene, the fire has intensified, transforming the restaurant into a roaring inferno. Thick black smoke billows from the windows, and the heat is palpable even from a distance. Tang, overwhelmed by fear, makes the difficult decision to flee, leaving Zamo trapped inside the burning building. Shen, upon seeing the flames, is momentarily paralyzed. Vivid, traumatic memories of his childhood, specifically the fire that claimed his brother's life, surge to the forefront of his mind. The sight of the orange blaze and the crackling sound of burning would trigger a deep-seated terror. However, gazing at the engulfed building, he clenches his fists and makes a resolute declaration to himself, "I won't let fear stop me this time. I will save Zamo." Mustering every ounce of his courage, Shen charges into the fiery chaos. The interior is a nightmare of heat and smoke, but he forges ahead, calling out for Zamo. He finds her crouched and disoriented, struggling to breathe in the thick, toxic air. Without hesitation, he scoops her into his arms and carries her out of the building, shielding her from the falling embers. Once in the safety of the open air, Zamo, overcome by smoke inhalation and shock, loses consciousness. Recognizing her critical need for oxygen, the ever-sourceful Starlight immediately offers his own internal oxygen supply, a selfless act that stabilizes her until professional help arrives. Shortly after, the wailing sirens of fire engines and an ambulance pierce the air, and paramedics swiftly transport Zamo to the hospital. After a thorough examination, the doctor delivers a reassuring diagnosis. She simply needs rest to recover from the ordeal. While Zamo rests, a shadowy subplot unfolds elsewhere. The director from the candy company is seen in a clandestine meeting with a masked figure. She hands over a file containing Zamo's personal information, stating coldly, "This is all I have on her for now." The masked individual issues a new command. "I'll need you to extract the rest of the data from her personal computer by introducing a virus." The director, complicit in the scheme, agrees, and the masked man confirms, "The payment will be transferred to your account as agreed." Back with Shen, the aftermath of the rescue prompts a significant decision. He instructs Starlight to return to the laboratory for repairs and diagnostics. In a moment of introspection, Shen looks at the robot and asks, "Did you do all this for me?" Starlight's response is logical yet profound. "Yes, because your life is intrinsically tied to Zamo's. I saved her to protect you." Shen, perhaps uncomfortable with the implication of such a deep connection, quickly denies this, asserting, "No, that's not true." He then takes Starlight to Dina for the necessary repairs. Dina delivers a difficult piece of news. "We cannot perform the upgrades without a full system reset. This process would erase all of his accumulated memories." Shen is left to contemplate this heavy cost, a choice between technological advancement and the preservation of a unique consciousness. When Zamo finally regains consciousness in the hospital, her first words are to Tang, whom she believes saved her. "Tang, you saved my life," she murmurs weakly. Tang, ever honest, corrects her gently, "It wasn't me, it was Shen and his little brother, Starlight." Zamo is visibly surprised and touched by this revelation. Shen, ultimately choosing to preserve Starlight's memories, waits patiently for him to be repaired. Upon his reactivation, Starlight suggests they both visit Zamo, who is at the hospital for follow-up tests. Seeing the long queue, Zamo voices her anxiety. "If I wait for this test, I'll miss my job appointment and everyone will leave." Spotting Shen in the corridor, she approaches him and tries to downplay her condition. "All my reports are fine," she insists. However, Starlight, using his advanced scanners, performs an immediate and accurate diagnostic, revealing the true results of her test. Amazed by his precision, Zamo quickly jots down the information, shows it to Tang, and uses it to expedite her discharge. As she prepares to leave, Shen stops her. "I need to talk to you," he says, then instructs Starlight to wait behind. Once they are alone outside, Shen reveals, "Starlight has started liking you a lot, so please come back home." Zamo, feeling a mix of obligation and a budding fondness for the unique robot, agrees. As she turns to go, she adds softly, "Thank you for saving my life." Shen moves closer, his voice dropping, and clarifies, "It wasn't me. It was Starlight who saved you." Her late arrival at the office does not go unnoticed. The director is furious with her. Meanwhile, Shen arrives at the candy company and sees the coffee Zamo had prepared. He also notices her talking to a colleague about it. In a display of his characteristic possessiveness, he orders his assistant, "Take that coffee away." At that moment, another assistant who had brought a bag for Zamo begins speaking with her. Shen, his tone icy, commands, "Take both of these items outside immediately." The intimidated assistant quickly complies, scurrying away with the items. The plot thickens as Shen's grandfather calls, inviting him and Zamo to a family dinner. Just as Shen is about to message Zamo with the invitation, he intercepts a message from Lin, the celebrity, inviting her for coffee. This discovery clearly bothers him. In a bold and public move, Shen decides to address the media speculation head-on. He calls a press conference where a crowd of reporters has gathered. Standing before them, he makes a definitive announcement. "I've called you all here today because the news about me and my girlfriend that's been spreading is true. She really is my girlfriend." He then opens the floor for questions. One reporter, probing for more sensational news, asks, "Didn't your ex-girlfriend leave you?" This question triggers a painful flashback for Shen, recalling a past relationship where his fear of intimacy, rooted in the trauma of losing his brother, caused a rift. His ex-girlfriend had pleaded, "You never kissed me, I want you to kiss me on my birthday," to which a younger, more guarded Shen had refused, saying, "I won't do anything like that before we're married." The relationship ultimately ended because of his emotional walls. Shaking off the memory, Shen tells the media firmly, "It's better if you don't talk about my past." His thoughts then drift to Zamo, and he finds himself happily recalling the scene of the fire and how he performed CPR to save her. Meanwhile, at the office, Zamo learns that Lin has arrived downstairs for a photo shoot. She feels a strong pull to go see him, but is burdened by a file she must send to the director, who is already scolding her for the delay. "Why haven't you sent me the file yet?" the director demands. Downstairs, a crisis erupts during Lin's shoot when his outfit is ruined. He asks if anyone present can design, and several colleagues immediately suggest Zamo, mentioning they'd seen in her profile that she creates new hanfu dresses. Zamo is reluctant, but under collective pressure, she is pushed to the forefront to stand before Lin. Shen, meanwhile, has come to the candy company looking for Zamo. He asks the director, "Where is Zamo?" The director replies evasively, "I don't know, she was here just now, maybe she's downstairs." Lin is there, so she might be with him. Shen does not like this answer one bit. When he arrives downstairs and sees Zamo standing in front of Lin, a blush on her cheeks and her heartbeat visibly quickening data which Starlight promptly relays to him as a danger alert, a wave of jealousy washes over him. After Zamo finishes her impromptu design work and leaves, Shen confronts Lin directly. "It would be better for you if you stayed away from Zamo," he warns. Lin remains calm, replying, "We are good friends and nothing more." "I don't know what you're thinking." Upon returning to her desk, Zamo discovers that her video project has failed to upload, and as a consequence of this incomplete work, the director coldly hands her a resignation letter, firing her. Zamo is on the verge of tears. Shen, noticing her distress but misinterpreting its source, confronts her. "I'm your boyfriend, so why are you meeting with Lin?" he demands, not realizing she's just been fired. Zamo, hurt and overwhelmed, can only apologize before walking away. Starlight, observing the scene, tells Shen, "I think Zamo is upset." Shen then turns his anger toward the director. "What did you do to her?" he asks. The director defends her actions, stating, "She was punished because of her own mistake. Yes, I know she's your girlfriend, but your relationship with the candy company is just a partnership. You can't change any of the rules here." Enraged by her defiance, Shen uses Starlight's capabilities to remotely shut down the candy company's entire computer system. Witnessing the chaos this causes, the director panics and begins to apologize profusely. "Don't mess with our system, our files could be affected. After all, we're family," she pleads. Shen retorts coldly, "You won't realize we're family so quickly." As this confrontation concludes, Zamo overhears the entire exchange. Shen is about to leave when he sees her standing there. "I didn't hear anything," Zamo says quietly. Shen offers no explanation and remains silent. Amidst the swirling corporate intrigue and emotional tension between Shen and Zamo, a delightful comedic subplot unfolds, providing moments of levity and warmth. Shen's conscientious assistant finds himself assigned to visit Tang's residence to collect official statements regarding the recent fire incident. From the moment he steps across her threshold, Tang's infatuation becomes unmistakably clear. She welcomes him with effusive hospitality, her eyes sparkling with undisguised admiration. As the assistant becomes engrossed in reviewing and signing the necessary documentation, Tang seizes the opportunity to decrease the physical distance between them, leaning in closer than professional decorum would typically allow. Her proximity sends the typically composed assistant into a state of flustered discomfort, his formal demeanor cracking under her persistent attentions. While this charming interaction unfolds, Starlight continues his self-appointed mission as Shen's emotional compass. With perceptive insight that belies his artificial nature, the robot observes to his creator, "I've been analyzing your behavioral patterns, and I project that your feelings for Zamo are undergoing significant transformation." Shen immediately adopts a defensive posture, his response sharp and dismissive. "Absolutely not, don't be ridiculous. She's merely a friend, and my concern stems purely from a protective instinct." Yet the moment Shen finds himself alone, his carefully constructed defenses begin to crumble. He pauses in the hallway, his brow furrowing in contemplation as he privately acknowledges the growing warmth in his chest whenever Zamo enters his thoughts. This moment of self-revelation is interrupted by Zamo's actual arrival, creating an almost comical synchronization between his internal realization and her physical appearance. As they enter together, Starlight immediately begins to approach Zamo with what would undoubtedly be an embarrassing revelation about Shen's burgeoning feelings. With lightning reflexes, Shen intercepts the robot, physically maneuvering him out of sight to prevent any awkward disclosures about his changing heart. Not to be deterred from his matchmaking mission, Starlight later seeks out Dina, Shen's more pragmatic AI system. He initiates a detailed analysis of the relationship dynamics between Shen and Zamo, complete with statistical probabilities of long-term compatibility. Dina responds with characteristic efficiency, cutting short his enthusiastic discourse with a curt, "I don't want to," before attempting to return to her primary functions. This rejection sparks a brief but humorous dispute between the two artificial intelligences, their debate ranging from logical fallacies in romantic attraction to the computational resources wasted on emotional matters. Ultimately unsuccessful in engaging Dina, Starlight adopts a more direct approach, finding Zamo during a quiet moment. Shen's protective behaviors indicate deep emotional investment, he informs her with robotic precision. Reciprocal actions from you would likely strengthen this bonding process. Touched by this information and inspired to action, Zamo decides to prepare a home-cooked dinner for Shen, viewing it as a tangible expression of her appreciation. When she extends the invitation, Shen exhibits visible hesitation, his schedule undoubtedly packed with corporate responsibilities. Yet after a moment's consideration, he surprises both her and himself by accepting the informal invitation. The evening takes an unexpectedly comical turn when Shen samples the meal she has painstakingly prepared. His palate immediately detects something amiss. "There's an unusual flavor profile here," he remarks diplomatically. The recipe appears to have incorporated soda where another ingredient was intended. Skeptical of his assessment, Zamo samples the dish herself and discovers to her horror that his critique was entirely accurate. The flavors were indeed disastrously miscalibrated. What follows becomes a profoundly touching moment, as Shen, without another word of complaint, proceeds to consume every last morsel of the inedible meal. This quiet act of endurance speaks volumes about his evolving feelings, transforming a culinary disaster into a gesture of unexpected tenderness. The romantic tension between Tang and Shen's assistant continues to develop in parallel. As the assistant prepares to depart from Tang's apartment following their meeting, she notices gathering storm clouds and presents him with an umbrella. This simple, thoughtful act triggers a powerful emotional response in the usually reserved man. The gesture vividly recalls memories of his late wife, who had habitually ensured he never went out unprepared for inclement weather. Overwhelmed by this unexpected resurgence of memory and the kindness behind Tang's action, he finds himself unable to maintain his composure. Tears well in his eyes, revealing the depth of his lingering grief and the unexpected impact Tang's presence is beginning to have on his carefully guarded heart. Later that evening, during the mundane task of washing dishes, another reflective moment occurs. Starlight retrieves the very plate from which Shen had consumed the problematic meal and begins to analyze its residual contents through his sensory receptors. Shen interrupts this unusual behavior with a questioning look. "Why are you attempting to consume that?" he asks, both puzzled and amused. Starlight responds with impeccable robotic logic. "My databases confirm that carbonated beverages are not typically used in culinary applications. I was attempting to understand how you managed to ingest the entire portion despite this knowledge." Shen offers no explanation for his earlier act of quiet devotion, merely shaking his head before exiting the room, leaving the robot to ponder the inexplicable complexities of human behavior. Meanwhile, the shadowy conspiracy against Zamo continues to develop threatening dimensions. The mysterious masked man meets again with the complicit director, this time demanding more extensive information that includes confidential details about Shen's business operations and personal history. When the director ventures a hesitant question about his motives, she is immediately silenced by his sharp rebuttal. "Our agreement specifically prohibited inquiries into my purposes. Maintain your focus on acquiring the requested data." The psychological toll of these mounting pressures manifests in Zamo's subconscious when she awakens screaming from a vivid nightmare. "I was trapped in the fire again," she explains to Shen, her voice trembling with residual fear as he rushes to her room upon hearing her distress. "Could you stay with me tonight, just for a little while?" Initially, Shen responds with characteristic reserve, turning without a word and exiting the room, prompting Zamo to mutter about his lack of basic manners. However, in a quiet demonstration of his unspoken care, he returns minutes later carrying a mattress which he places on the floor beside her bed. He lies down without ceremony, maintaining his silent vigil until she drifts into peaceful sleep. In the dim light, Shen allows himself a soft smile as he watches her anxious expression smooth into tranquility. The following morning brings another summons from Shen's grandfather, reiterating his dinner invitation for both Shen and Zamo. Accompanied by Starlight, Shen informs Zamo of their evening plans. "We're expected for dinner with my grandfather. Arrange to leave work early," he instructs her. After she departs to prepare, Starlight immediately seizes the opportunity to probe further into the nature of their relationship. "Your interactions demonstrate significantly increased proximity and familiarity metrics. Does this indicate your contractual arrangement has evolved into an authentic romantic partnership?" Shen automatically responds with denial. "There's nothing of that sort occurring. We're merely maintaining appearances." Yet even as he voices this dismissal, he finds himself quietly wondering if their pretense might be transforming into something genuine. But are we beginning to resemble an actual couple? He muses internally, even as he pointedly ignores Starlight's continued commentary on the subject. In a simultaneous development, Tang arrives at Shen's Technology Corporation for her scheduled job interview. With Shen occupied elsewhere, his assistant conducts the preliminary screening. His assessment is professionally skeptical. "Our work environment demands specific technical competencies," he informs her. "I'm not convinced your qualifications align with our requirements." Undaunted by this lukewarm reception, Tang demonstrates remarkable determination. "I'm fully capable of meeting any challenges," she insists, even proposing to work without immediate concern for compensation. "If you require additional administrative support, I'm available to assist directly," she adds, her boldness leaving the normally articulate assistant momentarily speechless. A mischievous display of autonomy, Starlight takes matters into his own hands by commandeering Shen's vehicle and driving himself home, a clear protest against the planned visit to the grandfather's estate. This act of robotic rebellion forces Shen to summon his assistant for alternative transportation. When Zamo appears ready for their engagement, she immediately notes the missing car. "Where's our transportation?" she inquires. With perfect deadpan delivery, Shen informs her it's been stolen. Zamo's expression shifts to genuine alarm before Shen breaks into laughter and reveals his joke, explaining Starlight's unauthorized joyride and confirming that the replacement ride is en route. His attention then shifts to Zamo's choice of attire. "You intend to meet my grandfather dressed in such casual garments?" he questions critically. When Zamo, constrained by financial limitations, suggests visiting a more affordable shopping district, Shen reluctantly agrees to accompany her. Their excursion to the local market becomes an unexpectedly significant milestone in their relationship. Zamo's enthusiasm proves contagious as she purchases various street food offerings, eventually persuading Shen to sample dishes outside his usual gourmet preferences, a small but meaningful departure from his formal world. However, when she attempts to select a dress from the market vendors, Shen rejects all her choices as unsuitable. "Your attire should reflect the standards associated with my position," he declares, redirecting them to an upscale shopping mall. There, Zamo expresses visible discomfort with the revealing designs displayed. Sensitive to her modesty concerns despite his exacting standards, Shen specifically instructs the sales staff to identify options appropriate for her body type and comfort level. After multiple fitting sessions, he finally approves a selection and even assists her with fastening the accompanying necklace, offering the rare compliment, "The presentation is now aesthetically pleasing." As Zamo completes her preparations, she requests that Shen photograph her in the new outfit. To her delighted surprise, he not only agrees but uses his personal device to capture the images, a gesture she interprets as significantly meaningful. Their arrival at the grandfather's estate reveals a scene far beyond their expectations. Instead of the intimate family dinner they anticipated, they find a lavish, formal gala filled with prominent business associates and social contacts. Zamo turns to Shen with wide-eyed astonishment. "You described this as a simple meeting with your grandfather. This is a major social event," she whispers urgently. Shen maintains his composure, advising her to follow his lead through the evening. The situation escalates dramatically when his grandfather makes a stunning public announcement to the assembled guests. "I present my future granddaughter-in-law, Shen's wife." Zamo freezes in shock, internally reeling at this sudden elevation from contractual girlfriend to proclaimed wife. Sensing her panic, Shen moves closer, his voice dropping to a reassuring murmur. remain calm. I'm here with you, he whispers, his steady presence helping her regain her composure sufficiently to continue through the evening. The celebration progresses with Shen presenting an elaborately wrapped gift to his grandfather, publicly attributing the thoughtful selection to Zamo. The elderly patriarch expresses evident delight with the present and challenges the couple to a friendly game, stipulating that should Shen lose, they would be required to remain as overnight guests. Shen agrees to these terms, and whether by genuine defeat or deliberate strategy, manages to lose the contest. While these events unfold at the grandfather's estate, Tang's dinner with Shen's assistant takes an emotionally charged turn. The assistant, Mr. Shang, partakes somewhat liberally of the available alcohol, lowering his inhibitions sufficiently to share personal history he typically keeps guarded. He speaks movingly of Shen's support following his wife's passing and reveals the tragic family history surrounding the childhood fire that claimed Shen's brother and ultimately dissolved his parents' marriage. Tang listens with empathetic attention as a chauffeur arrives to transport them. In his emotionally vulnerable state, Mr. Shang unexpectedly invites Tang to accompany him. Back at the grandfather's mansion, Shen and Zamo are escorted to a guest room for the night. There, Zamo discovers Shen's childhood photograph album, prompting a playful struggle over the cherished book that brings them into close physical proximity. Just as Shen appears poised to bridge the remaining distance between them, his phone interrupts with an alert from Starlight, reporting that Zamo's vital signs indicate elevated stress levels. Shen calmly reassures the robot that she is safe in his company. Later, when Zamo's dress becomes accidentally soaked during her preparations for bed, Shen provides one of his own shirts as temporary sleepwear. As she emerges wearing the oversized garment, his gaze sweeps from her head to her toes with quiet appreciation. When the room is suddenly plunged into darkness due to a conveniently timed power outage, Zamo's fear of the dark prompts Shen to remain seated beside her until she drifts into sleep. Morning finds Zamo waking to discover she has been resting on Shen's arm throughout the night, a realization that startles her considerably. At the breakfast table, she questions the grandfather about the previous night's electrical failure, receiving only a feigned expression of ignorance in response. In a parallel morning aftermath, Mr. Shang awakens at Tang's residence to find his jacket removed and Tang seated nearby. He dresses hastily, his manner flustered as he questions whether he behaved inappropriately before making a hurried departure. Tang watches his retreat with a mixture of amusement and frustration, commenting to the empty room, "The true disappointment is having an attractive woman beside you and failing to take any initiative." Following their departure from the grandfather's estate, the elderly man confides to a household servant that he orchestrated the power outage himself, viewing Shen's decision to remain with Zamo rather than seeking alternative accommodations as definitive proof of his genuine affection. Zamo later recalls the ATM card the grandfather had previously given her and attempts to return it to Shen. "I have sufficient financial resources of my own," she states with pride. Shen accepts the card without comment, though his thoughts remain clearly preoccupied with her. Starlight, having received a full data transfer from Dina regarding the previous evening's events, confronts Shen with damning evidence. "Your physiological metrics showed significant elevation last night. My initial hypothesis about your changing emotions appears confirmed." Shen initially attempts denial but ultimately concedes, "I've developed feelings for Zamo." He immediately qualifies this admission with the pessimistic addendum, "But marriage remains an impossibility between us." Starlight registers this confession as satisfactory progress. "Acknowledgement represents the primary step," the robot replies. Subsequent conversation, Tang visits Zamo and shares the poignant story she learned from Mr. Shang, detailing the full tragedy of Shen's childhood, the fatal fire that took his brother's life and the subsequent dissolution of his parents' marriage. He carries profound emotional wounds, Tang advises seriously. "Please be careful with his heart." This revelation causes Zamo to mentally revisit the previous evening's intimate moments. When someone behaves that way, what does it typically indicate? She queries Tang, who responds with knowing insight, "Those behaviors strongly suggest genuine romantic interest." Why do you ask? Zamo quickly attempts to downplay her curiosity, claiming her question was merely casual in nature, though her heightened color suggests otherwise. Shen found himself wrestling with unexpected emotions. He nearly sent Zamo a message apologizing for his assistant's behavior with Tang, then abruptly stopped. Why would I do this? He wondered, frustration mounting. We have no real connection. This is just a business arrangement. His internal debate highlighted the growing conflict between his developing feelings and his carefully constructed emotional barriers. Meanwhile, the corporate conspiracy escalated dangerously. The masked man intensified pressure on the director, demanding she plant a virus on Zamo's computer and threatening to expose her secrets if she refused. To execute this plan, the director declared an unexpected half-day holiday, emptying the office entirely. While colleagues celebrated the surprise break, Zamo decided to return home. Noticing this development, Starlight visited Shen's office with a suggestion. Zamo has gone home. You should join her? When Shen questioned why, the robot responded with straightforward logic. If you wish to appear as a genuine couple, you should participate in weekend chores together. Though Shen initially argued that servants could handle cleaning duties, he eventually relented. Arriving home, Zamo noticed Shen's subdued mood. Starlight quietly explained he's displeased about the cleaning plans. Remembering Tang's advice about not pressuring people, Zamo decided to handle the chores alone. However, Shen insisted on helping. You can't manage everything by yourself. He even invited Starlight to join, but the robot excused himself to recharge. As they began cleaning, their familiar bickering resumed, with both attempting to direct the process. The atmosphere shifted when they moved to window cleaning. After Shen went indoors, Zamo became engrossed in drawing patterns with the cleaning solution. From inside, Shen watched, completely captivated by her playful creativity. His expression softened as he approached the window. When Zamo suddenly noticed his intense gaze, she flustered and hurried away to wash cleaning cloths, leaving an unspoken connection hovering between them. The next morning, Zamo arrived late to discover an important meeting with Shen's company already in progress. She rushed into the conference room, apologizing to the director, who demanded she immediately present her video. This presentation was crucial for securing the business deal. However, when Zamo tried to play the file, an error appeared. The director had secretly sabotaged it. Blaming Zamo publicly, the director declared both copies corrupted. Shen's representatives, witnessing the failure, left after announcing the deal cancellation, promptly informing Shen. As the director continued berating Zamo before firing her, Shen arrived. Seeing Zamo in tears, he comforted her before confronting the director. This isn't Zamo's fault. Any record of this incident will lead to your dismissal. He then escorted Zamo away. She explained the file corruption suggested a computer virus. Her colleagues expressed confidence in Shen's ability to recover the data. At home, Shen's AI system Dina found no hardware issues but discovered a virus. Shen halted removal attempts when the system malfunctioned, realizing careless deletion could spread the virus through the network. He apologized to Zamo, who bravely vowed to recreate the video within 24 hours for an upcoming conference. Feeling inadequate, Shen told Starlight, "I failed to protect my girlfriend," though he quickly denied the term's significance. He tasked Starlight with collecting department videos to investigate the sabotage. Meanwhile, the director received payment from the masked man, who mentioned unexpected developments and future demands. Determined, Zamo proposed creating 2 video versions, one AI enhanced, one traditional, to the surprisingly agreeable director. She contacted celebrity Lin, known for wearing hanfu, and visited his studio with Tang. While filming progressed successfully, with Tang replacing Zamo when Lin suggested she appear alongside him, Shen grew concerned after Starlight reported deleted security footage. When Shen saw footage of Zamo and Lin filming together, jealousy consumed him. His calls went unanswered as Zamo's phone was off. After learning she hadn't returned to work, he ordered location tracking but lost her signal. Office gossip about a hanfu-clad couple embracing deepened his misunderstanding. Returning home angry, he vented his frustration on Starlight. Zamo worked through the night, only to learn Shen canceled the conference. She confronted him in the rain, and he cited the video with Lin as reason. Showing him the final version featuring Tang, she left heartbroken. Realizing his error, Shen reinstated the conference and found Zamo sobbing in her room. He carried her to the bathroom, dried her hair, and ensured she rested in his room. Pretending sleep, she felt his forehead kissed before he left, remaining constantly in his thoughts. The conspiracy deepened when Starlight revealed witnessing the director stealing Zamo's password. Controlling his anger, Shen cooked for Zamo. Meanwhile, Tang defended Shen's assistant Mr. Shang from his ex-wife's mockery, strengthening their bond. At a company celebration, the director pressured Zamo to drink. Shen intervened, consuming the alcohol himself and giving the director a USB with evidence of her sabotage. He escorted away a dizzy Zamo, then collapsed onto her. Starlight helped him up and tactfully departed. Though Zamo tried to leave, Shen held her close and she stayed the night. The next day, Lin invited Zamo to an amusement park. Shen tracked them with Starlight's help, joining their activities and repeatedly arguing with Lin. Meanwhile, Zamo's concerned parents planned a visit, while Shen's grandfather transferred Zamo to work directly under Shen. Though initially reluctant, she agreed after his assurances. During a business trip with colleagues, including Tang and Shang, comedic misunderstandings and reconciliations occurred. Shang even admitted sending Shen a book about winning over girlfriends as part of a plan. When Shen encountered his ex-girlfriend Chen, Starlight advised confrontation. Shen told her he was interested in someone else and Chen agreed to step aside. Bringing nearby Zamo to his room, he confessed his love during a heartfelt conversation, adding she needn't respond immediately. They spent the evening playing games, growing closer. The next day during a team event, Chen tried turning Zamo against Shen with negative comments, but Zamo fiercely defended him. Immediately afterwards, she found Shen and confessed her love, leading to their first kiss. The central mystery climaxed when Lin revealed he was actually Shen's brother, presumed dead in their childhood fire, and had orchestrated everything for revenge. In a dramatic confrontation, Shen chased Lin to a ledge, caught him, and pleaded with him to return to their family. The story concluded with Lin, miraculously healed, reuniting with Shen, Zamo, and their mother. In a final romantic scene surrounded by families and colleagues, Shen proposed to Zamo. Her joyful acceptance sealed their engagement with a kiss. Lin sought redemption by turning himself in, ending the drama with forgiveness, family reconciliation, and hopeful futures for both couples.